We have a beta developer update, and it looks like they want to give one of these to us each week, which would be pretty great. In fact, this one shows that they have a pretty decent finger on the pulse for these issues here. So, what we're looking at is for a couple things. They're telling us their goals for the beta, and we're test their shift to 5v5, the new maps, the push game mode, overall balance, and server stability. Great. They like what they've gotten out of 5v5. It's been a significant adjustment, but they think players have been happy. They've gotten positive feedback about that, having more fun, greater sense of impact in the matches, faster pace of combat and engagements. Okay, so that's what they're hearing. Whether or not you believe that's true, hey, you can let me know in the comments. They like the push. It sounds like they think players like push, but they do want to adjust it a bit more. I wonder if that's them feeling the game mode is too short, or them feeling there's maybe too much comeback potential, not enough comeback potential. I wonder what they're doing there. Maybe they'll change the robot's speed at which he retakes space when he's going back, make him even faster. Who knows? Cool. They're going to tell us about balance a bit further on. Makes sense to me, but they are rapidly planning to adjust hero power. We're actually going to get a balance patch this week, it sounds like. Maybe that'll also re-enable Wrecking Ball. Maybe they'll fix those bugs, but we did hear that Wrecking Ball won't be up for this first weekend of Owl Play. Okay. So then they tell us that ranked has obviously been a discussion. A lot of people have been asking for that. I did a video on, hey, you can group and quick play instead. It's the closest you're going to get for now, or you can scrim. But they do see that players are talking about that, wanting that, and they're pretty clear that the reason they didn't do it, they're aware people want it, was because they still wanted to test the stability, and they wanted to keep queue times as low as they could, which ranked, of course, has a tighter window for MMR for matches than quick play does. So that makes sense. Maybe we'll get it in the future. Then they get to support heroes, and this was an interesting one. We don't know exactly where they were going to go. Were they going to go, oh no, supports aren't having a good time? We've had that narrative going on. We've also had the narrative going on if supports are powerful, it's just different with that passive. So let's read this. More broadly, during our alpha test, we observed support heroes feeling too vulnerable to diving and flanking attacks with fewer shields and no second tank to focus on protecting them. But this is during the alpha. We made significant adjustments to their role passive heading into the beta, allowing support heroes to recover more health faster and improve their survivability. Okay, this change improved their overall power and durability, and overall supports are performing well in the beta. So they like how supports are performing. They feel that from a power level, they are balanced, they are strong enough. But we know the balance is only one aspect of what makes a hero fun to play. We have heard clearly that support players feel both tanks and damage players have more new content to enjoy and explore in this beta. Okay, so they're going with this from they think supports are balanced, but they're not necessarily enjoyable enough to play right now, where there's enough more new toys in the other roles. That makes sense. That's a reasonable view that they've come to there. So then they're going to tell us more about how they plan to fix that. But what we get into here is, in the near term, our hero design team is also experimenting with significant but shorter lead time ideas, including new and refreshed abilities for some existing support heroes. So that doesn't sound like Bastion levels of rework to me. That sounds more like Casty levels, let's change one ability type thing. But before this, they told us that, hey, they're planning to basically at some point go, it'll be fine once we add a new hero. Okay, most effective way to tackle this is add new support heroes to the game, and that's part of their plan. The concern that I run into is that they say these types of ideas could be deployed later than this first beta, but more likely would be in our next test. Does that suggest that they're not going to have a support hero ready for the next beta, and that's why they need to do these things, or are these on top of? That would be my first concern here. If they're planning for the next beta to be released, the next phase of beta, without a new support hero unleashed to the player base, I think they're going to have a really bad time. So I really hope we're going to get that, and maybe we're also getting an ability swap on an existing support hero. Something in that realm that'll give them new toys to play with. Then I'd say the last thing that was really of interest in here is they've heard a little bit on the scoreboard. They know there's some things there that they need to work on, but what they're doing is they're adding a damage mitigated statistic next to damage done and healing in the scoreboard. And Yes, the scoreboard should get more detail. That would be fantastic. Damage mitigated is the wrong thing. The best thing to give us would be killing blows. It would be the most informative, the most useful. You could get into a damage taken type stat so people know how much are people getting sponged, or a healing received stat, something along those lines. But damage mitigated isn't very good. It's too much of this like, oh yes, the damage status for the damage dealers, the healing status for the healers, and the damage mitigated status for the tanks. And that is not how Overwatch works. Overwatch is not an MMORPG. So I hope that putting this thing on the scoreboard doesn't trick people into playing tanks wrong. Tanks are not about absorbing damage for your team. They're a little bit about threat manipulation, sure, a little bit about dragging attention, but this could be a poor way to steer new players when playing the game towards, oh, your tank's job is to absorb a bunch of damage with your Sigma Shift, or your Reinhardt Shield, or your Winston Bubble, or your Zarya Bubbles, which really, again, is not the right way. You've got to have more playmaking potential than that, or you have to drive off their plays, break their plays a little bit more, which is not just static absorption. And I'd find that is more misleading than damage done or healing done. But what do you guys think? Does this look good? Are you happy to hear about all this update? This update overall to me looks pretty good. Little alarmed that maybe we don't have a support hero already lined up for the next beta, but they still might. That's what I see in this though. Like, do you guys look at this and go, hey, this is great. They're going to communicate with us every week. They're starting to actually live up to their promise of we're going to communicate better. This kind of is some delivery on it. Or do you look at this and go, hey, no, it's too slow. We should have already had a balanced patch. They were faster than this in the alpha with how they changed things. How are you guys feeling about this one? Let me know in the comments down below. If you're enjoying the content, please drop a like, consider subscribing for more Overwatch 2 updates to pick this former Contenders coach brain, get ahead of your friends, or share with your friends. You know, I'm never going to complain about that, but I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, Temporal out.